So what we got here is some wrapper. Reason why it's this is just to maintain the humidity. We have a couple handles. 1, 2. Move this over to the side. And let's take a look at this one. We have, I'll put it to your side, it'll be better.
Sure.
So we have fermentation, right? And for fermentation, every time we flip it, we have the ability to look at it. And you can see in the numbers if it's good or not, but you have also to taste it. The other thing that we have to do is that we have to check the quality. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your 4 fingers from the bottom and you're gonna open it up, and then with the top thumb, then you actually just finish it. So you grab that end and I grab this end and we look at it together, right? And without breaking and stretching it too much, we take a look at the leaf. So we're looking at different things. This wrapper, we gotta look at where the roller is gonna cut. We have to think, is it usable for the roller? So even though you see this gaping hole right in the dead smack center, it's no problem because the roller is gonna cut right here. Anything too close to the center vein or anything too close to the outside, they're not going to be using that. They're going to be discarding that.
Sure.
So we look at color and we say, okay, is it dark or is it light? And we can start assessing what the company's future inventory is going to be looking like.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or if we need a darker wrapper and we need to get more darker wrapper, we're not getting it light enough, then we can assess it and we can say, okay, maybe we need to work a little bit more on fermentation, prolong it a little bit more, or raise the temperature a little bit more. Obviously never going over the threshold of 50 degrees Celsius.
Sure.
So,
and if you do raise that temperature, that's gonna potentially darken the leaf, yeah?
So if you raise the temperature too much, yes, it will darken the leaf. It might even out some colors, but the problem is that if you go above our threshold, right, we have a limit for a certain reason. You bring up the temperature too much, then the oils leave. It basically sweats it all out, and then you're not just taking away the bad stuff, but you're also taking away the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And what happens is that what we smoke is not just smoke, but what we taste and what we smell is the distillation of these oils. All these oils burning at a certain temperature. That's what we're basically tasting. And if there's no oils to distill, then we're just burning paper.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why, okay, never raise the temperature too much. We look at this and we say, okay, you see all these marks? You say, oh, it looks ugly. But all these marks are watermark marks. All these like black spots?
Sure.
None of that is a problem. None of that is a problem. Now these dots, that's a problem. Sure. You don't want that in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And if you find a gaping hole in the middle, or you find a dot in the middle, then you might say, okay, maybe that might not be binder. That's wrapper. That might not be wrapper, that might be binder. Our waste, like the ones that is quality tobacco and is classified properly, can be used for short-filled cigars. So like a lot of the Davidoff Primeros that have premium short-filled cigar tobacco, we can clean that tobacco, we clean it with a machine, then we clean it with magnets, and then we clean it with people,
sure,
by hand. It's one of our cleanest short-filler tobacco in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, that short-filled tobacco has been used and has been processed as if it was going to go to a long-filled cigar. So no shame in that tobacco. So Peralta and his team do leaf by leaf, and they check. You see here, and you see all these dots here.
Sure.
Can he cut around it? This particular leaf on this side, you see it's very uneven in colors. The veins are very pronounced, right?
Sure.
Maybe you can stretch some out, right? That's a cigar roller's job. But the colors are very uneven, and you say, okay, maybe this side is not wrapper quality. This might be a binder side, but maybe this side, if we bring up the temperature, we might be able to even it out, and it might be usable for wrapper.
Would you put that into a different pile for fermentation if it was mid-fermentation?
Yep.
And then just keep these that have been pre-approved for filler at that particular point?
Yeah, for example, that pile of fermentation that we were looking at that was binder, in the first fermentation, it was originally half wrapper, half binder. Then when they remade that pile, they only made it a binder. And after the first fermentation, they reclassified the whole thing, and the wrapper went to another pile, and the binder went to another pile. And if it goes down to filler, if they find some filler, they send it to the filler department. And that way they get processed separately. They get handled different. And you see here, this one has a lot of holes, right?
Yeah.
So this side, it's binder.
Sure.
But this side is probably good enough.
So you'll
for
actually
wrapper.
take a leaf and you'll say, find a
Yeah.
wrapper, because the wrapper is so valuable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in this case, we're looking at half leaves. Half a binder goes into a cigar, half a wrapper goes into a cigar, never a full leaf. In filler, you can add the full leaf.
Sure.
This is basically what we're looking at. And remember, the center vein gets removed later on. So this is not the greatest leaf. It's a little on the light side. So then we basically say, okay, this is a different color than this one, right? And then we can start getting a gauge, more or less, what colors we're getting out of every pile.
Sure.
And we're thinking this 2 years in advance. Look how elastic it is.
I've got to be surprised at the elasticity of these leaves. They feel, when you actually touch it, it does give quite a bit. There is that give there.
Yeah, you would be surprised. They're very resistant. At the beginning, people are always scared to touch them, but they're very, very resistant. I mean, God forbid you break them, right? But so basically, we're gonna get a color gauge. Okay, oh, we got some that are darker, we got some that are lighter, and then we're gonna say, okay, 80% are darker. And then we kind of already know more or less where our leaves in the future are going to be going and into what cigars are going to be going.
Sure.
And we do that for every single one of these leaves and every single leaf that we have. Because it's filler, we do not have to treat it as nice as wrapper. It goes inside the cigar, so we don't need a sauna to humidify it without adding that water directly. With filler, we can add water directly. If it gets stained, no problem. As long as it's not rotting or anything, right?
Sure.
So we basically dip the whole leaf, right? You can feel it.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's like drenched, right? And then we dip the whole leaf, and when we get it this in the morning, it's basically unopenable. And I still will not try to open it yet too much because it might break, but you can see already that it's already opening, right?
Sure.
Without much trouble. By the end of tomorrow, when we let it rest and all the excess humidity leaves, they will be able to be workable.
Sure.
So, tobacco that gets aged very, very, very dry. And then when we want to work on it, like sort it in any way, take out the center vein, we really have to humidify it so that we can open up the leaf and not break it. After we have humidified the tobacco, and now we can open the leaf and work with it. So this room is what we call the texture department. So basically we bring the tobacco here, and the ladies here, they sort the tobacco only by touch. Not by sight, only by touch. So basically their hands is what's telling them how thick is the tobacco, how many oils it has. And what this allows us to do is to resort it and make sure that's in the right level. Because we sort it in the farm, many mistakes can be made at that moment.
Sure.
We sort it when it gets here. Mistakes can happen, but the biggest thing is that we start working in the tobacco. We start fermenting it, we start aging it, we start working with it, and the tobacco can change. It can lose a lot of oils, so we sort it just to make sure that it is in the right level, and that way it's not going to overpower or be too soft for your cigar.
So all of these are obviously the same leaves. And then once they categorize them in different texture, thus oils, are these different leaves going to be applied to different blends as a result?
Yes. So for example, your Davidoff number 2, that's from the bottom of the plant, right?
Sure.
It's going to be using seco. It's going to be using, I think, some volado in there. And you're going to have only tobacco from the bottom of the plant. What happens is the company says, hey, we need seco. And they're going to grab from the primings that would be seco, and they're going to sort. They're going to find mainly seco, and they might find some visus, they might find something else. But we can already tell here that this is the tobacco that they've sorted, and basically you have, from today's tobacco that they sorted, you have some ligero. You can see the color is darker but not all the colors are the same. So color tricks you.
Sure.
And you can see that the texture is very, very thick and very oily.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then you can see that they also sorted.
So that's why they're not even looking at the leaves. They're literally just relying on that feel.
Literally on feel.
Not to be fooled by it.
This is seco. This is from the bottom of the plant. And you can see that some are very light colored. For example, this one.
Sure.
And then some are darker colored. But they are more or less the same texture.
Yeah.
You know. So you can feel this, and they're more or less the same texture.
Yeah, I mean, my untrained fingers can't tell the difference. So,
right?
Yeah.
And you got two leaves, they're completely different color.
Yeah, I mean, if I looked at that, I'd be, well,
They're
that's
different.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So this is important for sorting. And then
So color's not really imparting any sort of flavor. We're just looking at the texture and the oils.
color doesn't tell you how strong the leaf is.
It doesn't give you any indication.
Yeah. People say Maduro is strong.
Sure.
And you're like, no, Maduro is a term of color. But they associate in the industry a dark color with strength. And now even blenders and companies are making Maduro cigars to be stronger, which in the past was not necessarily true.
Yeah.
But the industry has evolved to make it easier on the consumer, because they see a dark color, they automatically associate dark with strong.
Well, it's like dark red wines. People expect those to be fuller in flavor, bolder. So, you know, companies actually, you know, put pigments and inks into wine to make them darker, because people think they're going to be bolder flavors. So it's probably the same in cigars. You know, consumer habits, people see darker as richer, deeper flavors, but...
Well, I can tell you, not in Davidoff, but in the industry, there are cigars that get painted.
Sure.
Yeah. And you put that cigar in your mouth and then you get stained lips. I mean, it's the industry, it's what the industry has evolved to. But it is all about the oils, it's all about the texture, it's all about the nutrients inside the leaf. And that's what's gonna really determine flavor and then strength.
Sure.
And then here you got Visus. And you can see completely different colors again. And this is higher up in the plant than Seco. Come on.
Oh yeah, night and day. Even I can tell the difference between those two browns. No female eyes required.
And then they're literally, you can feel them, and it's the same texture.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are the same strength. They look completely different, they're the same strength. They're both Visus, they're both year 2012, 2013, so we're looking at tobacco that is 5-6 years old. We got San Vicente it was harvested from the top of the plant, which ended up being Visus, and it's actually from Zone 7, Hicoma, a farm we visited this morning.
Oh wow.
So there's San Vicente could have been the farm we visited this morning.
Wow.
Coincidence.
There might be, you know, some of the stuff we saw today will be here in, you know, 2025.
Yeah, something like
2026.
Again,
I have to come back in 6 years and see if I spot that leaf.
the one that he broke.
Yeah.
After the texture department, we have the room where we are deveining the filler. So basically, the ladies have little knives in their fingers that actually take out about half of the filler. You know, center vein.
Ah, okay.
Most cigars have center veins in the center. That's normal, you know.
Just all this stuff on the floor.
Yep, that's all there. It's normal. They stick only the very thick. That's not gonna go into your cigar, but the thin part is gonna go into your cigar. That actually helps for construction.
Okay,
so that's actually good. It holds the filler together, and then you can fold accordingly to make your cigar. Accordion style in our case.
Sure.
And you can see the knife. Enséñale, por favor. So you can see that with this knife, she makes the incision into the leaf and then really quickly removes the vein. And what's really cool is that she gets it already open, and at this moment, she's already sizing the leaf already. So basically, you're gonna be going the big leaves to the big cigars and the small leaves to the small cigars.
Small, medium.
Already humidified, the leaf open, the texture decided, the size decided, and the vein removed. So at this moment, in essence, in a couple months, it could be at the rolling floor being rolled once the factory needs it.
Okay, so this stuff basically ready to go whenever it's needed.
Yep, or we can put it into aging for a long time if it's not needed. But basically the factory says, hey, I need this tobacco, prepare it, they'll do the final steps, humidify it, texture, devein it, size it, and basically you can see it in 2 months in the factory. So we have here humidified tobacco already. You can open up the leaf, introduce it into the machine, and basically at that moment, the vein is completely stripped and you get this tobacco here, and it's nice and perfectly cut. It's super soft.
Yeah, to the touch you can feel how soft and moist the tobacco is.
This wrapper, and then it's gonna go to sorting. The binder goes here, the wrapper goes somewhere else. It's gonna be sorted differently. But both binder and wrapper come through these machines.
So the whole entire vein removed, the center vein.
Yep. About 30% of the total weight of the leaf. After the binder has gone through the machines, have been completely deveined, they come here and we have to sort them by size and by quality. No color because the binder goes inside the cigar, right? Yeah. So we have here big, medium, small, and then any leftover scrap gets put off to the side, or anything that might be considered filler. Like here you can see some filler. That's filler. That's scrap, that's filler. And basically, it gets sorted by size. The big leaves go to the bigger cigars, the smaller leaves get sorted to the smaller cigars. Once it has been already sorted by size and quality, the binder then goes on to the next step. And over here, the ladies back here, all they're doing is counting packets of 50. So 50. And from 50 leaves or 50 half leaves, when we give it to the cigar roller, he has to give me 50 cigars.
Okay.
And if he's giving me 40 cigars, what's the problem? Is he breaking me the leaf too much, or are we not giving him the tobacco in a good condition? So this is the wrapper department. This is right after the wrapper goes through the machines downstairs that basically devein the leaf into two. So you can see they're nice and veined right here. Behind me we have some Connecticut from Ecuador, and then this is an Habano type. For most cases, a lot of our Mexican Negro San Andres doesn't make it in the wrapper. You can see it's a lot more coarse, but we do use it out of a lot of Mexican Negro San Andres or Habano. So you can see they're sorting it by size, big, medium, small, and then also color. So you gotta look at the top side of the leaf, not the bottom side of the leaf. They put them all with the same vein, facing the same way, right? What's interesting is that you can see they all have their water bottles, so they're always keeping it nice and moist. There's good lighting, it's all bright, and there's black background. Again, it's only ladies. We're in the wrapper department. It's very expensive tobacco. We do not want any tough hands breaking our leaves. But also, the ladies are just more patient, delicate, and have better eyesight for the colors. So they're able to discern colors better. We have over 50 different shades of brown. Wow. We are basically sorting our tobacco in. And after the cigar is made, we do another color sorting. Then when the cigar is getting put into the box, we double check again, just so that the box is always 100% the same color. Every 10, every 20 cigars, depending on the number of cigars inside the box.
So Klaas, if between the different kind of wrapper leaves, are they treated differently once they've been sorted?
Once the tobacco has been sorted, you have leaves that are thinner, that have less oils, such as the Connecticut Ecuadorian wrapper. And then you have like the Negro San Andres that we just saw, that has a lot of oils, very thick. This tobacco, we have to be a little bit more careful. Dominican Republic obviously has a lot of humidity, it's high temperature, and if you leave this very humid tobacco in this humidity in a cooler, for example, it can rot. So what we do is we have a giant fridge behind us that we can put the tobacco in there inside the coolers, and that way the humidity level in the room is less and that tobacco will not rot.
What's the temperature here? Probably around
17. It's right now at 15.5. Humidity is 65% instead of 80 out there.
Yeah, right? It feels a lot cooler just because of the differential in temperature.
So you can see that kept intact, little packets of 25, right? But the humidity in this is a lot less.
Sure.
So that way they're not rotting, and then in 2 weeks when we need it for cigar rolling, they're in perfect condition. We just might need to moisten it up a little bit right before it's applied onto the cigar.
The guy who was selling coolers that day must have been happy when you filled this place.
Again, very high tech.
Yeah, very
right?
high tech. The Coleman salesman must be really happy.
And people laugh when they come to the wrapper room and they see that we're putting tobacco in regular coolers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is just...
It avoids any temperature shocks, any humidity shocks.
I mean, the humidity inside there is just... it stays there sealed much better.
This is another form of humidor at a particular level that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you could have your own humidor. You can make a cooler into a humidor.
Yeah.
Just keep the humidity inside and it's sealed pretty tightly.
Yeah.
You know, and it will work.
Well, Charles, Philippe and I really hope you enjoyed that video. Please also check out the full-length documentary of how Davidoff makes cigars.
And down here, there's a full playlist of our whole Dominican experience.